This is Stu Epperson from the Truth Talk podcast, connecting current events, pop culture, and theology, and we're so grateful for you that you've chosen the Truth Podcast Network. It's about to start in just a few seconds. Enjoy it, and please share it around with all your friends. Thanks for listening, and thanks for choosing the Truth Podcast Network.
This is the Truth Network.
There are no rules on this trip, remember? We're just heading for the Pacific, and there ain't no plan. Who knows where we're gonna be?
I know where we're gonna be. Dudley hooked me up. Check out this thing. It's a GPS in my phone now. Look at that thing.
Shit, let me see. That's cool. Look at that.
What'd you do that
For the good of the trip. You don't need a GPS to discover America. You need a bike and you need the road, okay? Freedom.
Welcome to the Christian Car Guy Radio Show.
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. You got to nip it in the bud.
Good morning and welcome to the Christian Car Guy Radio Show this morning. And again, I'm just a quick reminder, this is a call-in show. We're going to have we're going to hit on a lot of subjects this morning. A lot of them is going to be the practical stuff and kind of questions that you have had in your mind during the repair process and getting my car fixed and that kind of thing. We're going to just sort of throw a lot of things out there and have a lot of discussions. And if it stirs some questions on your part, we hope you'll give us a call. And the call, say here to call us, just call us at 866-348-7884. And this morning also in the studio with me, in which Darren is out of breath when he come through the door from Burlington. I think he called me early and said he had dog issues, but he's here with us. And Darren, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Just made it just in time. Had some issues with my dog, but she's doing all right now, so that's the good thing. So, but I own a company called Color's Edge. We have about 9 locations scattered throughout North Carolina and southern Virginia. We deal with PPG automotive paint. We also deal with PPG industrial paint, so we deal with some manufacturers also, but we've been in business since about 2004, and we're I think it's about 16 years now. Time is just flying by.
Now, when you say that, I've seen that ride, and it kind of does. Time does fly. It's hard to believe when you say 16 years. It makes me. I want to work and only be 17 years old, and that'd be right. And this morning, if you notice when you tuned in, Robby is not with us this morning. He has taken his daughter to college this morning, dropping her off. And when I talked to Robby this week, and he talked about taking her down and getting her unloaded and set up for school and all that, it kind of brought up some memories of my own. Been a few years since I've dropped my daughter off at school. And one of the things that I was thinking at that time as I was talking to him, and then also it's kind of weird, somebody was going to be on the next or supposed to be on the next program, Derek Mashamande, was also dropping his daughter off and didn't know they gave him a schedule, and so his time to do it was this morning. So, however, all of that being said, I thought, when I did that, there was no coronavirus. There was not nearly the social unrest that's going on in this country now. And I thought, man, I would it just kind of made me kind of just pause for a moment and just think, you know what, dropping your daughter or son or child off at college, what a time of, just concern for them. Mm-hmm. And, well, when I dropped Taylor off and this is something I've always said and mentioned it many, many times on the radio and people coming into the shop. And by the way, I'm Jerry Mathis with Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service, the Christian body shop guy. And so many times people will come in and stuff, and I'll have conversations with them about dropping off their kids and stuff. But it goes back to something I've always said, and that is that when you're in a crisis, it don't matter if your car's broke down, you have a flat tire, keys are locked, you've been in an accident, it's always good to know who to call. And that's what I always say. It doesn't have to be Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service. Just know somebody that you feel comfortable, and that's, the best way to have it is somebody that's close to where you live, so you're not having your vehicle transported all over the county or the city. And also somebody that you've got somewhat of a relationship built with. So I always say, try to have in the glove box and make sure your wife and your kids all know, if you need roadside assistance or something, the card is right here, or there's a pamphlet in here, call them, because one thing it's going to do, it's going to get you somebody that you're familiar with and is familiar with you. The other thing is it's probably going to save you some money, because if it just is a rotation call, traditionally they're a little higher just because of the format that they have to follow as far as that goes. So it's going to save you money and a whole lot of aggravation moving forward. Well, all that being said, when I go back to thinking about dropping Taylor off at Liberty University, Darren, what do you think about Liberty University? Darren's a Liberty man.
Yeah, I'm a Liberty grad guy, and I love that school. It definitely has changed over the years. When I was there, they didn't have half the stuff that they have now, and it's just amazing how great and how expansive that university has grown over the years. It's actually been exciting to watch.
Yes, it has, and the other piece of that is, it's kids are going there, and so many times you're going to college and stuff, you're not really sure what they're being fed or what they're what they're being taught, and the whole angle of what society is and stuff in there. That it's sort of Christian based, and it's pretty awesome. And plus Liberty, what I really liked about it was it's a big college atmosphere as far as the sports and the activities and all that stuff. So, but all that being said, dropped Taylor off at Liberty, and the first couple of weeks going up, because she was a cheerleader, I had to go real early and be there weeks before school started. But one of the first things I did was started looking for somewhere that I could make sure that she went in the door with me, and we talked to somebody at either a body shop or repair center, mechanical shop, or tire shop, or somebody that I felt comfortable with, that when she was up there, if she had a flat tire, whatever it may be, she knew that there was somebody she could go to that I knew and that she knew, and they knew her, and so they had that comfort about that. And I tell you what, Darren, it's a PPG shop. What is it? Sandorf's, I think it's
Sandorf's,
right there.
yeah,
right there on the right on the edge of the campus.
Yep.
So when I started looking, obviously, boom, that was right there, and I really felt comfortable about that. I went in, talked to them, and really liked their demeanor, and also just the way they did business and the facilities and stuff. And lo and behold, within 3 weeks of her being on campus, okay, Taylor has a little bit of me, and her trunk was stuffed full, and she couldn't get it to shut, and it messed up the lock. So she was called me panicking. I mean, and it was a weekend, it was on a rain, and she didn't know what to do. I said, remember, go down to the shop down there, and I told her who to ask for. She went in. And of course, if you've ever done that before, it's just tripping that lock and resetting it. Did it, got her trunk to shut, and she was on her way. And then over the course of time, over the next 4 years, she ended up having to stop by there a couple times for either tire was low or something like that. But the point of that is, it was somewhere that she felt comfortable, and I knew they were taking care of her, not taking advantage of her. And that's peace of mind. It is for me. And I was grateful for that. And I just encourage everybody, if you're dropping kids off, or if you're sending kids off to a workplace outside of where they're used to being around you, and you've always been the one to sort of guide them through that, kind of help them get established somewhere with some kind of connection, because it'll save you a lot of worry and concerns, but also most likely it'll save you a lot of money also. And that's something to always kind of, in this day and time, to always factor in. This morning, I just pray that Robby has a great trip and everything gets settled in real well. But also, one of the things this morning I would like to make sure we do, we're going to have a little bit of a different show, because we are definitely living in a different time and a different environment, and business is done different, and there's a lot of people who have a lot of questions and concerns. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been sort of compiling some of the questions that people came in the door asking. And I just thought that would kind of be neat to talk about this morning, especially having Darren in here with me, because he's going to be able to add a lot to that. And as I start that ball rolling, one of the things I'm going to ask Darren is, has your business, how you operate, and how Color's Edge is able to meet customers' needs, either body shop or just walk-in customers, has that changed over the past few months?
Yeah, it's definitely been a complete change of the way we do business than we have in the past, because you didn't have the virus out there, to worry about. The worst case might have been you might have caught the flu or something like that from someone coming in. And, one is we've changed the way we obviously sanitize, clean. I mean, emphasis on sanitization, especially. throughout the company, throughout our customers' companies and everything. It is just taken forefront to make sure that we create a safe environment for our customers, that they can feel comfortable coming into our store. We do in North Carolina, they do, we have the mask mandate, so we do require masks to come into the store and everything like that. But but we want to make sure that we're able to create a safe environment for our customers that come in, so our do-it-yourselfers and stuff. Because just because we've got the virus out there doesn't mean people stopped working on their cars and everything, so they need good quality people to talk to. So we just try to do that at first, and then going out and seeing our customers, such as your shop and everything like that. We've really trained our sales guys to try to one, take precautions, give our customers some of the some of the different things out there to help to provide services for their customers that are in accidents.
Yep, we'll be back, and I've got a lot of questions for Darren that's be able to fill in a lot of blanks. Again, this is a call-in show, 866-348-8784. We're back in a moment. Christian Car Guy Radio.
Well, if you ever plan to motor west.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Once again, welcome back to the Christian Car Guy Radio Show. I'm Jerry Mathis with Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service, and in the studio with me is Darren with Color's Edge. And one of the questions, we're just talking about how doing business is different, and I know one of the things is that one of the products you're selling is disinfectant and stuff, and that's something that I never thought I'd be buying from my paint supplier and stuff, so that's definitely changing world for sure.
Yeah, we never thought we would get into that field either. So, but that's kind of where the industry has taken us to make sure that everyone's safe.
Absolutely. And then one of the things that I said to start with, I want to just talk about some of the practical stuff and some of the things that people have questions about and trends in the repair industry. And one of the things that always people say, well, there's a difference in the estimate, or getting somebody to paint a car, so it costs X amount, and somebody else can do it for this amount. And then even when they start looking, well, I'm going to buy the material, and would that save me any money? And they go, I've been online and on the internet, on eBay, or whatever it may be, and then have to go to the explaining the difference in paint material. So is there a difference in paint other than price?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference. Most of the paint companies, actually pretty much all the paint companies, they got different versions of their paint, as far as they got, premium, mid-tier, and then kind of an economy type paint. Main differences on a lot of that is, obviously the premium, we've got different shades of that same color. So, it might be a blue metallic, but there could be so many different ways of shades of that metallic, how it looks or anything like that. Because I know Toyota had it with their bumpers for a long time, when you'd look at the car as like gold, and then all of a sudden, or the champagne color, you remember, and then if you look at their bumpers, look like a totally different color. Paint's similar to that, as far as if you get a cheap grade paint, it's a lot of times it's kind of a gamble to see if it'll match or anything like that, because it's not designed to be a matched paint. Our economy paints are usually designed to be, an all over. So if you're going to paint your car all over again or something like that, or get it all one color, that's where those economy paints kind of step into play. But getting your car fixed at a repair shop and stuff, you want to make sure that they're using the premium grade of paint to make sure that you get the best match possible, because they put a lot of research and development in making that, the paint companies do, to make sure that color is right on, so they're not spending a lot of time tinting on it or anything like that. And then that mid-tier is kind of that's kind of a same thing. It's not as, it doesn't have as much color depth as far as shading or anything like that, to make sure that that's a perfect match or a blendable match with the premium paint, but it's not. But it usually matches a lot better than the economy, and it usually has more pigmentation in it. So there's different little tricks that paint companies and stuff use to make sure to drive down the cost, because it's cheaper for a reason, and usually it's because some of it is that tint load that's in there. So there might be 50% color tint load, and the rest of it is clear binder. So when you're spraying it, it might take you, 2 quarts to do something that 1 quart would have done in the premium line. So, so there's a lot of education there, and especially when you get to the clear side, a lot of that has to do with UV screeners and stuff like that. When you get to the more of the cheaper line paints and stuff like that, usually that's some of the product that has kind of been not as potent in there, some of that. So it might let the paint start burning up as far as fading, because it's not screening those UV screeners out after a couple of years, as opposed to after 5 or 6 or 10 years, depending on the premium quality and what the manufacturer is stating that it'll last to. Which is why you usually have warranties, on the premium paints, because they know what's in there, what's protecting it from the environment and everything. Whereas on the cheaper line paints, you don't usually have that extensive of a warranty or anything like that. So those are just some of the differences in there, between the different levels of paint. So I always recommend people, when you're getting your car repaired or something like that, just make sure they're using a good quality premium paint, and you'll usually like the job that repair center has done then.
Yeah, and I always say, the quality and the premium lines are all really will do a good job, and some have, little things that they tweak in one direction that's have advantage over another, but they also, end of the day, it all works out. But if you go with the premium line, you're getting something that's going to last. It's going to cost you a little more, but the durability, the color match, and everything else is going to be so far ahead of it. And then even now, I know with the new cars coming out, I'm trying to think how long it's been. We switched over to water.
Yeah.
And people are thinking, why are you putting water paint on my car? Think that's, but really that's the top as far as the technology and stuff. That's top tier, and that's really what you need to have to really match some of these newer cars. Yeah.
When they came out with water-based, the water-based paints and everything like that, it was designed for 2 factors. Obviously, that's where the manufacturers were going. Gives you a nice, cleaner look. That's why you see some of these. I know if you look at back in the mid-'90s and stuff, a lot of these, cars that you see out here used to be like candy specialty custom, colored cars and stuff. And now you can actually achieve that with the premium paints and everything, because they've got that nice, clean look to them. And it just kind of makes it a lot nicer paint. But 2, it also makes it a healthier paint, both for the technician, for the environment, and everything like that. Because back when we were using solvent, anywhere from 50% of the paint, like if you're spraying a quart of paint on a car, doing basically a side or a hood or something like that, half of that product is evaporating into the environment, and hence the pollution and everything like that. So they did the paint companies did a really good job of creating, and they all go different ways of going about it, but they get the VOCs down to where the pollution ratio is really, really has been really cut in half with people that use the waterborne and the water-based type paints.
Yeah, it all comes back to just the technology and the stuff that's gone into it. We're about ready to go into a break, but when I come back, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Beth Ann on the spot when we come back from the break. We was talking about trends and questions and stuff. One of the trends that I've noticed, and Darren, you probably noticed this also, women coming in to the facilities to talk about getting repairs and stuff. It used to be dominated by the men, but now we really have more females who walk the door percentage-wise than we do males.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the Christian Car Guy Radio Show, and I tell you what, Truth Network, there's so much truth coming at you all day long on the Truth Network. This afternoon at 1 Eastern Time, The Cure with Amy Carbo. This program offers a platform for everyone, for hope for everyone. Amy and the Cure this afternoon at 1 Eastern on the Truth Network. And I tell you what, Amy's got a story, and she's used what some people call tragedy to turn into her platform, to be her story, to be able to reach other people. So if you get a chance, 1 o'clock this afternoon, turn to the Truth and listen to the Cure. Well, Darren, as I was just talking about the different trends in repair facilities and the way business is done, and we're going to talk about a lot of different little things, going to just sort of do some bullet points and hit on them. One of the trends that I've noticed over the last, especially the last 10 years, it seems that there used to be a time when I first got into this business and stuff and grew up in it, it was always the guys that were coming through the door talking about dropping a car off, about what needs to be done for the repairs, and also just the facilities really weren't set up to cater to the females. I mean, it was just the way it was, and it was accepted that way. But over, I don't know what everybody else's business looks like, but I know at Ray's Body Shop and Record Service now, we're probably, we're over, I'm going to say it's about a 60 to 40, 65, 40, 35, something like that ratio of females coming through the doors to get the original estimates, to talk about the repairs. Usually after, at some point, the husband or the males will come in and or call and question some of the stuff, and then they're usually there when it gets picked up and stuff. But that used to be something that we never saw in our industry and stuff. And so this morning when I came in, first thing I said, Bethany, I'm going to put you on the spot. I said, I'm going to ask you, as a female, what are those concerns, and what would be the turnoff, and do you see that change in the industry? And it's not just the automotive industry. It seems to be a lot of industry.
You mean where ladies are coming in as opposed to where you saw guys all the time?
Absolutely.
And I don't know if I'm like the best barometer for this, only because, I'm single. I've never been married, so I've always been the one to do this. But I can almost feel the difference as the consumer, Jerry, that you're talking in, that I do feel like businesses are acknowledging that half of their business is male and half of their business, or nearly half, is female. But at least when it comes to automotive or categories that I feel I have, which is a lot, no real knowledge in, no wisdom, you always seek wisdom from others. So, when I first came back to North Carolina, I had to take my car for something. And who did I ask? I asked the Christian car guy. And so, Robby gave me a couple of options. And I think once I go into a place as a consumer, it's almost like when you were taking your daughter Taylor to school and you wanted to make sure that she had somebody she felt comfortable with, knew who she was. You almost instantly can feel that they want to know more about you, they want to solve your problems, and there's a trust that begins, the seed is planted from the very beginning. So I feel as a woman, and normally, we come in now because of the internet pretty knowledgeable as much as we can be about a purchase or a repair or whatever it is. So we kind of have questions ready, and if they, take time and answer the questions, or they don't know the answer and they're honest, immediately it's sort of like a trust. And then it's, for me, not so much the cost. I'll pay whatever you tell me to pay because I trust you. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And as you said, coming in kind of prepared. And that's what we're seeing now in the industry, is people are coming in and they do have questions. And I think that's sort of one of the things that I think as a female and also as a male, if you go in and you have those questions and the people sitting across from you either don't take your questions seriously or don't feel they have the time to answer them and meet your needs, and it doesn't matter if female, male, age, or anything, that ought to be a red flag. I mean, and I'm saying that, but also I'm going to say this also, that there's times when you're just really busy and you think back, I probably didn't give them the time I should have and stuff. Because I've had that happen where I go, you know what, I probably didn't really answer their questions, and because the phone would be ringing or somebody else was standing there, But really, I think people read into that and see that the reason why you did it is either because you're really busy or because you just don't care. And there's a big difference there. It's the same thing, Darren, when people come to the counter. Maybe somebody just off the street has a question that you're not going to sell them anything. But you know what?
Yeah, you still want to, you still want to take care of them. You still want to answer their questions. And, you can usually tell if someone's, if there's a, if the store or the shop or anything is just super busy, usually that has a different, vibe, I guess, usually to most people. So they can usually tell, okay, yeah, they're just really extremely busy right now. And we all have bad days. So, but we try to limit those and be able to, because at the end of the day, we're all in customer service, trying to make sure that the customer is taken care of, making sure that they're happy with whatever questions they might have, or with any repairs that they have. And we've seen with women and everything, we've seen a lot just entering into our industry in general, being painters, technicians. There's all female body shops that are out there. It's been actually encouraging to kind of see a new wave of consumer and technicians, kind of coming into our workplace, I think.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why I really wanted to get Beth Ann's take on that, because it makes you feel very. I know that as a female, there probably has to be times you walk into somewhere and you feel like, are they going to just patronize me for coming here? Are they really going to take what I'm saying seriously? Are they going to try to? Because everybody hears the stories. If a female comes in, they're going to try to upsell you. They're going to sell you something you don't want, and think I don't know any better. And really, that's where you kind of try to find out about your people.
And I don't think I even mind the upsell. I don't mind that at all. But it's just if they're really sharing something with me that I should know about or be aware of. And maybe I'm not in the need for whatever it is at that moment. But if I trust you and I think long range, you just have my well-being really at the heart of it, and you care, who knows? I might do that next time. Or does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think a lot of times the upsell is, if you're going to do that, you need to make sure that there's a basis for that, and it really is a need instead of just that's part of what I'm getting pressure from my company to upsell everything or try to sell something. Okay, you come in for this. You need shocks also, and you don't really just need 2 tires. You need 4 because it's there's a lot of that stuff that can get. It can really confuse you. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it goes back to what I said very beginning of this show is find somebody that you can trust. And at that point, you know what? If somebody's going to come to me and does it in trust, and if they question what I'm telling them, I want them to. If they don't feel comfortable with it, say no. If they want to go ask somebody else and talk to somebody else, get another opinion, please do it. Because end of the day, want to do the best job I can do for a customer that walks through our door.
And we feel that, and sometimes I'm on the other side and I'm not the consumer. So I just think it is a relationship, and it's a very nice, honest, authentic, transparent back and forth.
Yeah, and that's what, that's really what we're, all the grief and stuff we live in and stuff, sometimes we can make things a lot easier on ourselves. Find somebody you trust and then talk to them openly. I mean, there's no stupid question. And talking about questions, as I said, I promised you, there was going to be some questions that those past few weeks people have walked in the door, and I'm going to throw out the very first one before we go on the next break. Is this a good time to get my car repaired, and is it safe to do so? That I was amazed how many people walked through the door and asked that question.
Yeah, and that's and the answer is yes. I mean, it's still a good time to get your car repaired. All the shops that we deal with, that I know of and everything like that have gone far and above, making sure that they're using the disinfectants. I mean, all the different technologies out there to help create a safe environment for both the workers, because you got to figure when you're bringing your car in, they don't know where you're coming from or anything, and and for them.
Yeah, because one of the things we do, we disinfect the vehicle when it's dropped off, wipe it down all the high use areas, and when they pick it up, the final cleanup has been disinfected. And also in the building and facilities, continually keeping things clean and disinfected and stuff. We'll be coming back, Christian Car Guy Radio. Enjoy having you this morning. Don't forget it is a call-in show.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
All right, Darren and Beth Ann, are y'all ready? We're ready. We're ready. Okay, going back to the questions, another question that kept popping up that people were asking is one that's been asked for years and years. Whenever you're in a traffic accident, and the insurance company tells you, or you find out, that the carrier that you have is also the carrier of the other person that was involved in the traffic accident with you. And the first thing they want to do and say is to speed up the claim, the best thing to do is to just go ahead and you let us cover yours under your insurance and theirs under their insurance. It'll make the claim go a lot quicker and it'll be a lot smoother. Is that a good idea? Somebody this week in the office with that question, my answer is no.
Yeah, I would never. Yeah, that's because that would, if it's not your fault or anything like that, then you don't want it on your insurance company taking care of it. Because even though they're covered the same thing, I haven't seen where it hampers the process at all.
Yeah, and also the other piece of that is because you have that point there, and a lot of times because they were explained how it was under the state average and wouldn't have a claim, but that's sort of a power of judgment thing also. It just sort of hangs there for 3 years.
Ooh, yeah.
Then another pick up either a moving violation or another accident, it comes back and picks that up. So, and I understand the insurance company's view on it because one thing, they basically try to keep from having anybody mad or taken aside, so they're trying to retain customers. So I understand that. But yeah, if it's somebody else's fault, it doesn't matter if the same insurance company or even if it's another insurance company, and they'll always, sometimes you'll get advice to just go ahead and turn it on your collision insurance, and then they'll segregate it. Well, there's a lot of issues with that. Whenever you can turn it on another claim, if somebody's at fault, go ahead and do it. It's going to save you a lot of aggravation. And at the end of the day, it'll save you time also.
Exactly. Another
question is, we're talking about insurance. When do I decide to drop my collision insurance? That is over the course of time, that has changed a lot because now with the vehicle, the repair cost is so high. It used to be where you'd say, after a car gets 7 or 8 years old, I'll drop my collision. But now with the repair cost on a vehicle, I'm more apt saying, keep that a lot longer than normal and have an agent that you can talk to. That's why I like having a sit-down agent. You can go sit at a desk and talk to them.
Yeah.
Because, you know what? If you have some cars, it can be something very minor and cost you thousands of dollars. Some of the European cars and also some of the U.S. cars now, just take a headlight, for instance.
Oh, it's so expensive.
Unreal.
It's like $1,500.
You wish. We just put a
really?
headlight. Yeah, we put a headlight in a BMW a week or so ago that was $6,800. Because of the radar in it and the lane change and all this stuff. A tail light on a Ford, the new Fords also has the radar in it to let you know where, changing lanes and all that stuff. It has that built into the tail light. That tail light, just a tail light that you used to be able to buy for less than $100 now is, I think it's like $900 for that on some of the Fords. Yeah. So all of a sudden, you got to weigh all that stuff out. So when, you may want to keep that a little longer than normal. And then the other thing is.
You wish.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Mine was $1,500, but I didn't have a BMW.
But prices now, there's no rhyme or reason on some of the pricing. So you got to know that.
Yeah.
Then also, my vehicle was in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance company total lost it and deemed it a total loss. Should I buy that vehicle back? That's a question I'm asking. Okay.
Yeah.
Darren, Drew Ann,
depends.
Beth Ann, what would you do?
I would not buy it back because I know it was in an accident. Yeah. I don't know why, but that's me being naive. I would probably ask somebody.
Yeah,
I would probably ask my insurance guy.
Yeah, and I would actually talk with the body shop manager and kind of see, because there's different ways that they total your car too. So if a lot of the safety systems went off as far as the airbags or anything, that counts against the repair claim. There might not really be much wrong with your car except for that. And so it might be worth maybe going and buying it back and having it repaired and having a nice car that really doesn't have a whole lot of damage to it technically.
Well, I'm going to say Beth Ann's right. Darren is right, because of a lot of times I'll say you don't want to buy one back because there's a lot of issues with that one. It's tagged as a total loss from that point on the title. So the value drops. If you want to buy it back and try to sell it in a few years, the value is nothing on the vehicle, unfortunately. But the other part is, I think Darren really hit the nail on the head that I always say is talk to the body shop, go over the estimate and see, because now with new vehicles there's so much technology and so much electronics and stuff. When any estimate is written, they write it on what you can physically see. And hidden damage is what is a big word in the repair industry, because of its damage that they can't physically see or know. If the car's not running, they don't know if the modules are bad or blown out. Also, they don't know if the computer got fried during the accident. So you could have a vehicle and say, okay, it's got $7,000 damage on it. I can buy it back for $1,000, and they're going to give me $8,000. So I'm gonna have an extra $1,000. I'm gonna buy it back and fix it for the $7,000. The reality is, it's probably not going to be that $7,000 because of all the hidden damage.
Yep.
And now with as the other week, Ford talked about the new Bronco and stuff, and all the technology is in that car that just got released. When you write an estimate on it, you have no clue till it gets so far down the road to when you can start running the diagnostics on it and know if there's internal damage on the computer and that type of stuff. So all of a sudden, what you think maybe cost you $7,000, it's going to cost you $11,000, and that's not unusual, because every estimate written by anyone used to be, in the old days, you could pretty well look at a vehicle and know what kind of damage, because the computers weren't as sophisticated. There wasn't as many gadgets on a vehicle and stuff, so you pretty much know what a repair cost is going to be. Now there's so much of that stuff that's hidden that you don't know about. And also just a bumper. I mean, a bumper can have 20 components on it.
Yep.
It used to be if a bumper damaged, you knew it needed a bumper. But now with the inner structure, the absorber, the rebar, the shocks on it, the brackets, the retainers on it, all of a sudden those costs are things you don't really see. And so most of the time those are left off of the estimate.
Yep.
It's almost like a house. Like you buy a money pit. You buy something that looks so beautiful. Look at that crown molding, but behind the walls, you don't know till you have to keep paying for stuff.
Pull it off
and
you look and see what you have there. Okay, and then the other thing, we talked about that, Darren. What's the difference between estimates? I mean, everybody who goes, we're about to wind down. I have so many questions here, but when you do an estimate and somebody comes in and says, well, I've got an estimate, it's X amount of dollars here, X amount there. My insurance company told me it was this much, and you're telling me it's this much. A shop I went to 2 miles away told me this much, and they're all different figures. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, an estimate is just that. It's an estimate. It's based on the person's ability to see kind of what is involved, what all kind of damage he can see in a brief amount of time. They're not, a lot of times some companies, if they're actually doing the repair, they'll break it all down and get a one repair sheet estimate after the fact. But just going out, getting an estimate, you're going to have a range of numbers because of that fact. It's just everyone is subjective to different things that they see, and so you'll kind of get into that a little bit.
A great show this morning. Enjoyed having Darren with us this morning. Beth Ann, appreciate you being part of the show and all the work you put on the other side of that glass to make it happen. Thank you so much.
It's fun.
Again, Robby, hope you have a great trip. And this weekend, I encourage you, get into church. If it's online or whatever it may be, don't miss that opportunity and use whatever your platform is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Christian Car Guy Radio, enjoyed having you this morning. Darren, have a safe trip back to Burlington.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.